You're watching Slingshot the Podcast, the misunderstood voice, the culture's power. And today's episode is a flashback, a playback of previous episodes, and it's entitled Giving You the Best That I've Got. That's that Anita Baker jam from 1988, the favorite performer of my favorite quarterback in the moment, Jalen Hurts. And so I hope that you stick around and enjoy today's episode. We're going to recap on some previous episodes that you really enjoyed, those that you made the most comments about, those that you engaged the most, and those that you enjoyed the most from the last 2 seasons of Slingshot the Podcast. So sit back, relax, and let's watch some of your favorite episodes. Well, let's get into this. Now, if you've been watching Slingshot the Podcast for the last year or two, you know that many of our episodes are named for songs or song lyrics. And today's episode is entitled Giving You the Best That I Got, Anita Baker. But let's watch a little bit of my co-host, Charles Gregory, as he belts out lots of these tunes, episode after episode. Let's check them out.
Got to be starting something. Right. I said you want to be starting something. You got to be starting something. Tired to get over, too low to get under. You're stuck in the middle. This is America. Woo! Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Woo! Look what we whipping now. I got the power. Like a crack of the whip, I snack attack front to back in this thing called rap. And then I'm getting kind of hectic. I'm getting kind of hectic.
Come on now,
I'm staring with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. Ain't no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make a world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make the change. It takes two to make a thing go right. That's how you got it. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Everybody know that jam.
Yeah, that's right.
Fly like an eagle to the sea. That was my song. Here we go. You can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this or you can get with that. I think you go with this because this is kind of fat. And then,
now, as we're recapping previous episodes from the last 2 seasons, one of the episodes that you all really enjoyed, and I would say we received the most comments on social media about this episode, is entitled Reading Rainbow. And it featured a guest that joined us in studio, author Brent Johnstone. He is co-founder of Fathers Read 365. And he had a lot to say about the current climate, about how students learn, how young people learn, and how it's so important that we open up opportunities for young people to grow. So take a look at some of the previous comments.
And we know a real thing, we talked about this in previous episodes, that the school to prison pipeline is real.
Yeah.
School to prison pipeline is real. And if you're someone who's struggling in school and they mischaracterize you as a bad kid because you may have a different way of learning, this could put you into all kinds of things at the end of the day, right? Where you're going to have to be held after school and in detention and you're labeled a bad kid. And then you have police in schools. And so what this leads to are children, particularly disproportionately Black children, other students of color who find themselves in front of law enforcement in schools and then eventually behind prison bars.
A lady from Radnor explained this to me. She said, Brent, we get so much positive about Radnor being this #1 school district at the time it was in Pennsylvania. She said, but what they don't tell you, on average, we spend $1 million in just reading tutors.
Wow.
In Radnor. Those kids aren't reading any better than a kid at 32nd and Oxford somewhere, right? But they have the resources to pay for them. Our resources came through that special ed, those IEPs.
Because we fund our public schools by property tax. And
one of the
when
most
you live
racist.
in Radnor, right, your zip code has a much different tax base than 19121 or whatever it may be.
Exactly. And that alone, property taxes being tied to school funding is probably one of the most racist things or classist thing, whatever you want to call it, that has ever been invented.
Yeah.
But when children, so right now, Philadelphia School District. Fourth graders, 17% proficient. We're the politicians talking about that, right? If we're going to make this thing great again, don't we need people that know how to read? Now, when we think about black boys out of that 17%, now we might be talking 6-7% of our young black boys who, once they go to fourth grade, will never see a reading teacher again, are basically slave numbers, right? You probably had a good 2-3% during slavery who learned how to read by hook and crook. We're literally in 2025 looking at children, and this is not just a Philadelphia issue. It's 17 in Philadelphia. I think Newark is like 3%, something crazy. These kids can't read. But long story short, they told this kid to tuck his shirt in. Told him once, told him twice, he didn't tuck his shirt in. They wrestling with the kid. He's on the ground. They done slammed him and put him on all type of restraints. He got up, and they said, yo, just put your shirt in. Yeah. And he said, well, why didn't y'all say that? Tuck. He didn't know what tuck meant.
Yeah.
How many times is tuck in his house being used for putting something in?
100%.
And he was 14, 15 years old.
If you've been watching Slingshot the Podcast for the last few years, you know that we've had some really special guests in studio, including NFL players and others, including Paul Boo Boo Palmer, Temple great, College Hall of Famer, one of my favorite episodes, and it was entitled Ballers' Lives Are Political Too. Take a look at him telling a great story about an encounter with a former governor.
I want to say the night before the game, it could have been the night after the game. They had a banquet. At the banquet, you get your watch, you get a jacket, you get whatever it is that you're going to get. And let me say, in that game, I was MVP. I had 165 yards that day. So I thought I was like, you know, the stuff. But anyway, it was another good day. It was another good day. But as they call your name, you rise up and you go to the front, and at the head table is Governor George Wallace. But I noticed him, and I started rounding the troops at my table. Like, and a lot of people, a lot of the brothers at the table didn't know. Right. I'm like, do you know who that is? Every time you see Martin Luther King, you see Governor George Wallace. Do you know who he is? So at that point, man, I'm kind of amped up about going up there. Yeah. And I don't really know what I'm going to do. And I'm angry as hell that they had the nerve to have that racist SOB at the table. So I think he said something. He sticks out his hand. I think he said something to the extent of, I'd like to welcome you to the wonderful state of Alabama. I just went right by him. I kind of slid by him and kept on walking. He had his hand out, and I kept pushing. But my best friend, Travis Curtis, who played at West Virginia, my dog, Travis, grabbed a handful of mashed potatoes and kind of cupped it in his hand. And he walked up there when George Wallace stuck his hand out. My boy didn't look at him and hit it with a mashed potato handshake. And he kept on pushing. So you saw George Wallace kind of look at his hand and kind of wipe it. But for me, I felt nauseous. I really felt it physically, like the nerve of them to have him there. And I went out and sat in the hall for about 5 minutes or so just to kind of get myself together. Yeah. Then I came back, and I thought it was terrible of them to have him there. And I don't, he can say he's sorry, and he can say he had changed. He's sorry that he got those bullets in his behind. Yeah. And he changed because he got those bullets in his behind. Because if he hadn't, he'd have still been standing in front of the courthouse. Right. He'd have still been standing in front of schools. Right. And he's still been treating black people the way he had. Right. So he got what he deserved.
You all can't get enough of our sports episodes. We had another episode called Fly Like an Eagle. And we talked about college sports. We talked about professional sports. And we really got into Mo'ne Davis, Philadelphia's own. And we talked a little bit about women in sports. So take a look back at what we had to say.
WPBL.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah. Finally. Yeah. They deserve it. When I think of that, right before we get into that, I think of the formerly Tanny Dragons with Mo'ne Davis, who was a phenomenal player, phenomenal pitcher, and which led them, I believe, to the World Series. Yeah. And so she did an amazing job, and it's cool to see somebody out of Philadelphia who was balling like that, who led a boys team. Right.
Right.
Right. And so as we talking about women baseball, I mean, she's the picture of that. I believe she might even have something to do with that. I think I read a story. Will be playing in the league.
Oh, they expect for her to be a top draft pick.
Yeah, absolutely. So shout out to Monet Davis, man.
Davis, yeah. Sure. Little World Series.
Yeah, World Series. Yeah, Little League World Series.
In Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Williamsport. That's right. That's right.
Well, the Women's Baseball League, the WPBL, Women's Professional Baseball League, it's about to launch. They're about to have draft day.
Yes.
And there's going to be 4 teams in 4 cities at this time. They do hope to expand into 6 to maybe 8 cities in total as the team continues to grow, as the league continues to grow. But right now, the 4 teams are going to exist in Boston. So you got a baseball town there.
Yeah.
Boston, L.A., New York, and San Francisco. So big places to have these leagues. Nothing in Philly. So, maybe Monet gets drafted in New York and gets to stay on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Or go up to Boston. But I wanted to pinpoint a very interesting statistic, which is the salary cap of professional baseball for women.
Mm-hmm.
The team salary cap, are you hearing this?
Yeah.
$95,000.
$95,000 team salary cap. I'm not mad at that. I think that for something that's brand new, for it not to necessarily have sponsors and the support yet, for them to create a full team, an ecosystem and marketing, I think that's a fair cause for something that's brand new.
You're watching Slingshot the Podcast. This is more than just a podcast. This is a movement to inspire and motivate and mobilize. This is for those whose voices have been unheard, misunderstood, undervalued, and underserved. We're going to talk about sports, culture, entertainment, and we're going to use this to build power in our communities.
And we're back. You're watching Slingshot the Podcast, the misunderstood voice, the culture's power. And we're recapping seasons 1 and 2 and giving you a little glimpse into some of the previous episodes, some of your favorite moments in the last 2 seasons. One of those moments was from an episode called What in the Hell Did We Ever Do to Y'all? And if you watch this episode, you know we talked about the elephants in the room. So take a look back. And what the hell did we ever do to y'all?
And so I have to ask the question.
Yeah.
What the hell did we ever do to y'all?
What the hell did we do to y'all?
What the hell did we do?
We ain't do nothing. We existed. That's what we did. We existed. We unintentionally outperformed and outshined. Unintentionally. We just did that. We came with seasoning and some sauce. We just did that. They didn't like any of that, So, yeah.
It's this time of year, when we're celebrating various things. It was just Juneteenth.
Mm-hmm.
It's Pride. You just had Pride. Coming out of Black History Month a few months back. This causes stress.
Yeah.
It causes stress because here we are trying to celebrate our existence.
That's all.
And the comment section is enough to make you say, I just have to turn this all off.
Yeah. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Everyone knows that this happened, right? Mm-hmm. And generally, Black folk, we get mad, but we don't necessarily get even, right? Mm-hmm. We don't go out and massacre everyone. That's not within our nature. All we want to do is have you just acknowledge that. Most Black folk like that. You smack me, I'm mad at you. But if you would say, yeah, I did that was my bad, we like, all right, let's go have a beer. Right.
A period in time in which this country would not allow Black folks education in the same facilities as white people. This is why they don't want people to learn this history, because if you learn this history, then there has to be some type of reparation for this history.
Yeah.
So Tulsa race riots, there are still people alive today. Yeah. I mean, there's very few of them now, but there are still people alive today that were victims of the Tulsa race riots.
Yeah.
All right, Computer Love. This was an episode you all enjoyed. We're talking about AI and how it's impacting our lives and how it's impacting the way that young people are engaging and doing their work for school. So take a listen.
So now we could just go on to Google or whatever and type in whatever it was that we were using microfiche for.
That's right.
Right? Google is microfiche.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So, today's generation, they have much more information at their fingertips than we ever did. This could make them smarter or could make them not know how to research to do certain things. So what's your take on that? What's your take on, our generation versus the current generation as it relates to them having to write research papers today?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think now we're in a digital age where, it's the gift and the curse. I think, honestly, I think these kids are so much smarter than we were at that age. And it's because they have so much more information at their fingertips. I mean, is it too much? When do I put the boundaries up? When do I throw up the red flags? But I challenge you to even ask that question to like a ChatGPT. What should I do? What is AI? What is the benefit of me using AI versus not using AI? Ask it the questions, and that's something else that a lot of people don't think of. Just ask the question, any question that you just ask it the question. Ask those questions. How can AI be beneficial? How can AI hurt? This is my business. I feel that AI is very detrimental, or I feel like I'm cheating when it comes to utilizing AI because, and say what that because is, and see how AI responds to you.
I'm in the business of interpersonal relationships, right? Where if you're an organizer, you have to organize with other people to accomplish your goal.
Right.
And for me, it's like if I'm putting together a strategic plan for how I'm going to organize and mobilize folks to the polls, I want that to come from my brain. But we know for a fact what data centers are doing to our environment.
You know what sewage is doing to our environment.
And if we can stop one of the two, or both of them at the same time, right?
Right.
I just don't know if I want to risk future generations' wealth, health, so that we can have more information faster.
All right. Well, make sure you don't buy no more bottled water.
Look, there's so many things we do. Everything we do is recognized. But we know this one.
Right.
If we know
about bottled water in the plastics that we're drinking too. That we give to our babies and stuff like that. I just say that to say.
This is why we're so unhealthy.
I'm being funny. I'm being funny. I'm being funny right now. But what I will say,
over the last few years, we've had some episodes particularly named after Michael Jackson songs. And one of those was "Wanna Be Starting Something." Well, in this episode, we're talking about social media and how we engage on social media. Are you someone who clap back in the comment section? Do you let it go? When is the appropriate time to clap back in the comment section? Let's take a look.
And you have people that are troll. You have people that, remember we talked about selective, rage and selective amnesia and all of that type of thing. You're going to have people that just literally feeds off of the, they call them bait ragers or rage baiters, right? And so we give certain people too much power. I refuse to get on my power, man. Y'all can argue in the comments.
He's not going to read them.
Y'all can. I'm not reading those comments. I just don't care. I don't care enough for someone to try to rage bait me, for me to spend my time to comment on something that you're absolutely wrong about in the first place. I'm gonna say, I challenge you to do this. If you're in the comments and someone says something like really like nasty to you, go to the profile. If they don't even have a picture, you already know.
5 friends.
Come on, man. Yeah. 5 friends. They only have like 3 posts. You know it's fake. Don't you arguing with that's why I say say the argument. Argue in the comments, man. Take that to the comments. Because most of the time you're arguing with something that's not even real. So you're not gonna win. You're not gonna get them to see your point. Just agree to disagree and keep it moving. That's it.
I'm not going to check you, the individual, because you're not going to care what I say. Nothing I say is going to change your mind. But I'm putting a comment in your thread because I want others who are just lookers, who aren't saying anything, I want them to hear what the truth is. I'm trying to dispel the lies and the misinformation that you're spreading. So I don't care, if I'm messing with Jim Bob, and his racist comments in the chat, down the thread, I'm not really addressing Jim Bob because Jim Bob's never going to change his mind. No matter how many facts and figures I can share with Jim Bob, cognitive dissonance is going to take over for him.
Yeah.
Not a single thing I can say is going to change his mind. Right. But there is somebody lurking. There is somebody lurking in the comment sections that is paying attention to the back and forth, and they need this information. Yeah. Otherwise, you let Jim Bob get away with telling lies, and it goes unchecked, and you can keep telling lies over and over again to start sounding like it's the truth. You're watching Slingshot the Podcast, the misunderstood voice, the culture's power, at New Millennium Multimedia Studios.
I go to work. That was the episode of one of your favorite Slingshot the Podcast episodes. And in that episode, I go to work, we were joined by Professor Akil Parker. And he was talking about mathematics. You know, it's not the sexiest subject, but it needs to be because everything around us involves math. And yet sometimes we feel like it's not as important as maybe English or the other subjects that we're learning in school. So take a look at some of the really cool moments in which we're engaging about mathematics.
Your teacher may not have the ability or the time to sit down with you and say, look, no, you pretty much understand the concepts. Right. You just made the careless errors.
Right.
All you know is you got a 40.
Yeah.
In your mind, that 40 translates to, I'm not a math person. I'm not good at math.
Yeah.
Never realizing that you're not as bad as that 40 reflects.
Right.
And I think there are probably thousands and thousands of people that may have been in those types of situations. Think about the English language, right? Because mathematics is a language in and of itself, just like the English language is a language. And English is weird.
Yeah.
When you really think about it,
yeah.
Like English has a bunch of like idiosyncrasies and conventions. Exactly. Like think about the word grizzly bear. Bear. How do you spell bear? B-E-A-R.
Mm-hmm.
Or okay, you driving a stick shift with first gear.
Right.
They both end in E-A-R.
Right.
Why they not pronounced the same?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But we never question that.
Right.
We just learn it. And the English has a lot of situations like that.
Yeah.
We just learn it. When we encounter situations like that in mathematics or in algebra, what do a lot of people do? And see, that's why I can't with math.
That's right.
But you do it with the English language.
Right.
Why don't you do it with a different language, the language of mathematics? It's just because we're programmed.
Right.
We're programmed to stay away from the mathematics because, like speaking to the work that you do, like with mathematical literacy, then you can start to advocate for yourself better, not only as an individual, but as a community.
Right.
And you can start to understand, okay, oh, y'all gerrymandering. Oh, how they do that? Oh, I see the geometry. I get it. I see the algebra.
So today is I go to work. What are the jobs that are out here that folks can take on and make some money? You don't have to play basketball, football. What kind of jobs are out here using mathematics where you can actually make some money?
Well, a lot of them, and I think so. Speaking of that, whenever a student or a young person, be careful when you hear young people say, I hate math, I'm never going to use math, this is pointless. What they're actually saying also at the same time, without realizing is, I'm never going to be a doctor, never going to be a registered nurse, never going to be an architect, computer scientist, any type of engineer, mechanical, civil, industrial, aerospace, whatever, right? Because mathematics, especially algebra, is the gatekeepers, the gateway. It's like the bouncer at the club.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do those jobs. And that's why I think it's a larger political situation going on where it's allowable and almost promoted for certain groups of people, young black children, to say those things, because what happens is they've disqualified themselves from competition.
Yes.
So then
And
other children
nurses make good money right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you're in middle school or high school, you say, man, math, this is too much. I can't do all this.
Yeah.
You're never going to become a registered nurse because you're not going to be able to go through the math coursework. And that's good for the economy of certain people because then they know, oh, well, we're going to have more opportunity to be the registered nurses because all them people over there that started saying at a young age that they was not good at math, they're not math people, and they can't handle it, they bought into that. So there's a concerted effort, there's a benefit, because we always got to look at, like, when we see a problem, we might recognize that it's a problem for young people to say that they're not good at math, but we don't think about who benefits from that a lot of times. So when we look at who benefits, and we can start having these types of conversations with young people and tell them, like, man, stop saying that, man, because you disqualifying yourself.
All right, here's another episode you all really enjoyed. Again, a Michael Jackson lyric, Somebody's Watching Me. Michael Jackson sang the hook on that song. But in this episode, we're talking about how we are really being inundated by folks trying to get at our information? And are we too quick to give away our personal information? So in this episode, we really engaged about how easy it is to get someone's personal information. Are you giving up your personal information too easily?
So, Charles Gregory,
Yeah.
we are talking today about people giving away their information freely. Just take it and give it away because they want a meme maker to make a picture of what they would look like if they were a Lego character or any type of caricature. So what's your thoughts here about people just willingly giving up all of their personal information?
Yeah, it's just happening. I think, whoever you want to point the finger at is making it very easy for people to be desensitized and giving up their information. You still have a lot of people that's very vigilant when it comes to their checks and balances when it comes to their information, but you have a lot of people that's just so easy to just give it away. Every time you download those apps, you're giving away your information, and some of it even say you agree for your information to be sold, that type of thing. And some people want to play the game so much they just be like, yeah, hurry up, click.
Yeah. I mean, how bad do you want to know what your stripper name would be? Right? Like how bad do you want to know what your stripper name would be? Because in order to find out what your stripper name would be, right, you got to tell them what street you used to live on. I think it was one of them. What street you used to live on when you were a child. What was the name of your first pet? Like, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? Yeah. Like, all these answers. And then they want these answers because then what do they do with it?
Yeah, they're selling it. Yeah. Like, they're selling all your information.
Man in the mirror. All right, Michael Jackson. He reminds us that it starts with us, right? Change starts with us. And in Man in the Mirror, we're asking you, are you doing everything you can in this moment to deepen democracy? Are you looking within? Are you in this moment engaging in what's happening in the world, paying attention to the news and making a change? Because the change does start with us. Let's take a look back at this previous episode.
Power. And today's episode is called Man in the Mirror. So how does change happen? And change starts with you. And it starts with all of us having some agency and advocating for the things that we believe in.
Yeah.
Others might call that good trouble.
Good trouble.
Good trouble. John Lewis, good trouble.
Yeah.
So one thing that has some folks very irate in this moment, happened in the last several weeks, has been the gutting of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, particularly Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act that allows for Black folks to have a representative of their choosing. And there's a lot of people very upset about the gutting of the Voting Rights Act.
We walk on eggshells to try to make policy and do certain things. Like we were fussing at Biden. We fussed at Barack Obama about, we don't care what the Republicans are talking about. Just make the changes. No, we want to. And they was trying to do it the right way. I get it. But you have someone in pretty much in office right now and he's doing whatever he want to do.
And quickly.
Which shows that our past presidents could have did the exact same thing, but we didn't because we were trying to do the right thing. So at this point, it's kind of like, well, what's the right thing anymore?
Yeah. Well, some would say the right thing right now is fighting back against this. And there are those, and particularly like the NAACP and other civil society organizations that are saying the way to fight back against the gutting of the VRA is to touch folks in their pockets.
That's right.
And who do they want to touch in their pockets? They want to touch the southern schools of the SEC,
I agree with that.
and others, to touch their pockets, to have our stellar student athletes decide not to attend in Alabama, not to attend in Arkansas, not to attend in Ole Miss, not to attend some of these schools in LSU and others, and states in which the Voting Rights Act has been gutted and then further gutted by the states who have just jumped on the bandwagon right now, and they're trying to overturn congressional maps and anything else they can do to have their own power. Something you can absolutely do is attend town halls. They usually happen on a Wednesday night, 7:00. You've had dinner, you did the homework with the kids. Take the kids with you to town hall. Listen to one of these public hearings. Get yourself up there. Speak up about your community. Make your voice heard.
Thank you all for joining us for this special episode of Slingshot the Podcast, The Misunderstood Voice, The Culture's Power, as we look back on 2 seasons of previous episodes. I hope you enjoyed looking back at the incredible guests that we've had on this show and the deep conversation we've had around culture, entertainment, food, music, and how it all relates to what's going on in the world today. So thank you for joining Slingshot the Podcast, and we'll see you again soon. Have a good day, everybody.
I'm Kadida Kenner, and you're watching Slingshot the Podcast, the misunderstood voice, the culture's power.